Boom. We are live.
Boom.
We are live. Hello, everyone. What was that?
That feels
Imagination.
magical. That felt magical.
Imagination. Yes, we are live. It is, God, it's already almost, February is almost over. That's I.
The best month of the year. No, so bad. So bad.
But we are here for our monthly WTF episode number 28. So welcome in, everyone. I'm your host, Alex. You can call me Senpai, and I'm joined just tonight by our poser extraordinaire, Natai.
The late, very late.
Yeah, we're what, like almost 45 minutes late, but better late than never. It was a
It was
good
an extreme shit.
it was a really good dump, wasn't it? It was a really good dump.
I'm feeling like 100% now. I can go for another 24 hours straight.
It was such a good dump. You found Shinji behind you, jerking off into his hand.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's just some. Isn't
I-
that milk or whatever?
Yeah,
No?
you're so fucked up.
I'm the lowest of the
The
lows.
lowest of the low. Jesus Christ. Sponge boy me Bob. Yes. Anyway, so that reminds me, I should probably change where our chat box is. I never even really thought about that before I started because I'm the lowest of the low. Just ask Natai.
The lowest of the loads.
Anyway, that should be fixed. All right. So before we actually get into what we want to talk about tonight, we do have some questions from our Discord server, which if you haven't joined, it is linked below for anyone and everyone. Well, as long as you're 18 or over to join. And if you have questions for us that we can answer during our monthly WTFs, you can always put them in our Ask Us Anything channel. The war for Natai's gut. I mean, Natai has been working out. He ain't got much of a gut anymore. Also, can we talk about your hoodie real quick?
Dude, I fucking love it. For those who know Pop Team Epic, so my buddies got it for me, and it's very comfortable. And like, it doesn't even matter. Like I love the design, the character,
the design that's phasing into Shinji's hand.
Detroit becomes Shinji.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the questions that you all had for us this month.
Do it.
Now, I do want to say I didn't put all the questions here to answer this month. A couple of them I thought would be better questions for when John is back on the WTFs. You know, he's a little bit busy with schooling right now, so he hasn't been able to be on our WTFs for the last couple of months. And I just felt like couple of questions that were asked would be better if he, or at least more people, were on. And then there was one I think is definitely for John, which is about web manga recommendations. And I feel like if any of us on the podcast is qualified to give web manga recommendations, it would be John.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
this is a more intimate version of WTF.
Yes. That being said, the questions that we are going to be answering are all from two people, Pyra and New Vegas Savior, on our Discord server. So thank you for
the wonderful questions.
For the wonderful questions. So we start with one from Parathis. What is a good anime for when you feel down? Konosuba.
Konosuba, yeah, that's the one answer. Konosuba for sure. That's the right answer.
Yeah, that's the best answer that I can give. It's certainly one of my favorite things to watch when I feel down. There are some other options I think out there. Yudo Camp, also another great one when you feel down. Flying Witch also, like if you just want to chill, like super chill anime, like Flying Witch is a good go-to. I would say any like lighthearted slice of life, wouldn't you say, Natai? Would be a pretty good
slice of life. Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think of more options. Like Konosuba is my go-to. I rewatch it so many times when I needed it. If there is anything else, like I don't have anything off the top of my head because Konosuba is such a prominent one.
Yeah, I would say more as a general answer to the question, for sure, Konosuba.
Yeah, it's just like that's the one I always end up coming back to whenever I feel like I need something to like reinvigorate me for one reason or another.
So there's your answer, Konosuba.
It's that good. Go watch it.
It is. I mean, it is great. It's also one of those things where more often than not you can just pick an episode and go. You don't have to like
Yeah.
follow along with a super intricate plot. Um,
Um, I think one of the like the best types of shows that I get back to for that sort of like almost comfort food sort of thing these shows that like you can pick and choose whatever episode or just pick a random episode. I think like very recently I rewatched a random Cowboy Bebop episode. I was like,
mm.
this is some great shit.
I,
So,
I
you just
I would say Cowboy Bebop, but there are a couple episodes that get
oh yeah,
kind of heavy on the drama there. For me,
sure,
it's Trigun. Trigun is another good one because that's almost exclusively a lighthearted anime. It does. It has its moments here and there where it gets a little like introspective, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but for, I could say 80 to 90% of it is pretty good feel good anime.
Kekai Sensen is one that I come back to every now and then as well.
I will have to take your word for that because I have yet to see it.
It's same mangaka as Trigun, actually.
One of these days, you and I will watch it together.
I'm down. I'm down.
Might do it as a watch party in our server.
Which you can join if you join our Discord server.
Next one is also a question from Barathis, and we've talked about this behind the scenes, you and I, a lot. Did Disney's The Lion King plagiarize Kimba the White Lion in your opinion? Why or why not? So
it didn't.
I'm not gonna say that this 100% swayed my opinion, but I highly recommend you check out a very long video from Your Movie Sucks. Where he talks about Kimba the White Lion.
2 hours.
It's just a little bit longer than 2 hours, but yeah. Where he goes over like this whole misconception about how Disney just plagiarized Kimba the White Lion. There are some, and I think you agree with me. There are some coincidences between the two. Well, Kimba rhymes with Simba. I mean,
but like it's sort of like because the whole thing with that name apparently is that Simba just means lion in Swahili, and they were looking for a name they could trademark when they brought Kimba over to the Western audiences. So they took Simba and changed it to Kimba so they can trademark it.
Yeah,
that's pretty much why they chose it. But the video is terrific. I recommend it highly. It's really really good, even though it's very long. It's very well paced. It's very thorough, very very thorough. And like one of the main points is that when you compare the entirety of the Kimba franchise, which is multiple series and movies and all of that, there's so much of that setting of using like animals that are in Africa in that setting, and there's so many it pretty much covered so many of the types of events and like situations you can be that obviously when you depict a story in Africa featuring animals in the jungle in Africa in the savannah, it's bound to happen that some of these like moments and like events look similar, but like always context is everything,
Yeah, and it's also like the overall the overarching story of the original Kimba the White Lion TV series. I think was the original a TV series or a movie? I can't remember now.
It was a TV series in the 60s.
It has the plot has almost nothing to do with the plot of Lion King.
The entire plot takes place in the first episode, and then the rest are just episodic stories.
Just episodic like shenanigans.
Pretty much.
Now I will say that I think that there were animators who worked on The Lion King back in the day who had seen Kimba the White Lion. 100%. 100%. Do I think that they used their knowledge of Kimba the White Lion to inspire some of the scenes that they drew? Yes, I do.
I don't think
there's some key, like I said, there's some key animations that you can see in The Lion King that do draw a heavy inspiration from some animation cells in Kimba the White Lion.
Again, it goes back to like, these situations, like it's bound to happen when Kimba covered so many like sort of like beats that are like like these two characters fighting over a cliff.
Yeah.
That happens like 4 times in the entirety.
That also happens in a lot of just movies in general.
Yeah, it just like it happens like it also like as Kimba as a story like uses a lot of tropes like for some like certain characters are depicted as evil. So like for example that the lion character who has a scar on his face. Like, but aside from that very basic trope that you have in like all of media of like villains having scars and stuff, That's it. That's all the comparison has between Scar and whatever the name of the character from Kimba. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
very very
I also
shallow.
think some of this comes from a very stupid um, comment that I can't remember if it was Roy Disney or Ed Eisner
Mm,
said it back in the
it was the
day.
Disney company. Yeah,
It was
it
someone from
was.
Disney. I cannot for the life of me remember whether it was Roy Disney or Ed Eisner. But at the time, right before it was before the Lion King came out, it was part of their marketing like material where he said that there has been nothing like the Lion King ever in the history of animation, which was just blanketly
Which
not
is just
true.
stupid. Yeah, that's playing stupid.
Yeah,
Like, don't get me wrong.
that was just a really
And
stupid thing to say, and I think there some of the idea of like Disney plagiarized, Kimba the White Lion with the Lion King stems a little bit from that statement.
yeah, and it's a very stupid thing. I think like one of the most like important points in that video that he talks about is that like it seems like a lot of the what the Cuba crowd is going for when they like try and say, oh, it's a plagiarism. It's like sort of create the narrative that, oh, big bad Disney took over like material from the pure Japanese culture and made it their own. And don't get me wrong, Disney is fucking sucks, and I hate what that company stands for.
Yes.
There's no like I don't see any reason to defend them, but in this case, like it's factually incorrect. Even fucking Tezuka Productions said they are not like agreeing with these claims that Disney is plagiarized them. Like, Tezuka's son even said that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think both you and I agree. Did they actually plagiarize? No. Are there certain similarities? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And did Disney say some stupid stuff in their marketing when the movie first came out?
Yeah,
100%.
For sure. Yeah.
Because they portrayed it as something completely new and original, and it's like, no, there's been stuff like this in animation before. Maybe not maybe not in American animation, but certainly in animation in general.
Which is so funny that because like it's funny going over like the making of the Lion Kings, because that project started out as something that was so like doomed to fail. Like Disney had no faith in it, only towards like the end and how interest was gained, so like started pushing.
It's also amazing because I've seen a couple of documentaries, detailing the making of the Lion King. It's amazing how like the budget for that movie skyrocketed immensely. Like Disney put aside, I forget, it's a paltry amount of money for this movie because, like you say, they had no faith in it. And then like by the time the movie actually came out, the budget had ballooned to like 6 times what Disney had originally given them.
And it turned into one of the best animated movies ever, which is
Natai is the goat. Natai is the goat. And apparently, you're also owned by Disney.
Yeah. Sure, I'm sponsored by Disney. Everybody.
And you grew up on the Goat King instead of the Lion King.
I'm telling you, it's a parody. That that's why copyright law fucking sucks. I want an HBO Max show that will take
Natai the goat. Natai the goat. All right, and
wanna milk me?
Yeah. Man. All right, next question, also from Parathis. Best VTuber, go.
Ayanda Risu.
I would probably say Miko. Both of those are whole VTubers. So it's been no secret, and we'll get into it later because I actually have a sim report to get into this month. That I love VTubers. I particularly love HoloLive VTubers. I think most of them are really, really great, and I watch them pretty regularly. Miko was my... I can't remember if she was the first HoloLive VTuber I ever saw, but she was the first one I watched like with any kind of regularity.
Yeah, you were obsessed with. You're still obsessed with her.
I am. But I mean, she gained prominence with the whole GTA thing. Go home, stay home.
Another clip.
I'm not going to say what she said out loud, Natai.
Miko is great.
Miko is great.
Also, shoutouts to Iron Mouse. She's really, really good.
Yeah, if I had to pick a favorite non-HoloLive VTuber, it would probably be Iron Mouse.
Yeah,
probably.
She's great. She's a hard worker, and it shows. It really shows.
And then if I had to pick my favorite like independent VTuber, like someone who's not associated with any kind of agency or anything, it'd probably Kason.
Wait, isn't Kason a part of the Shoujo?
No. She's done a lot of like collabs with Vishocho members, but she's not a part of the company.
I was under the impression she was a part of it. Okay.
No, she's for all intents and purposes independent. Another one that I've gotten into recently that I really really love is Sarre, the French VTuber.
Sarre is a bit much for me sometimes. Damn.
Ooh.
It's that energy is like too much. She's about to explode for so much like energy she has in her.
I like that she was playing that. What's the name of that game where you run through the fucking corridors and collect gems?
Oh, that's stupid. I don't remember.
Monkeys chase after you. I forget what it's called. But anyway, she was playing that game and she was getting all flustered and like just screams out, "Oh, my pussy is tight!" And it's like, all right, I'm here for this. This is
all of her audience, all of her audience.
The weeb that stares at goats. That's inside. The goat jokes will never end. You realize that now, right?
That's the thing. I know they'll never end, but that river has been just run dry. There's nothing that can surprise me anymore. The problem is that you enjoy them so much, and I can't stop it.
I do. Next question comes from New Vegas Savior. Except Berserk, what anime has a metal album feel? Detroit Metal City.
Ooh, Hellsing Ultimate.
Oh, Hellsing Ultimate is another good one.
That's fucking metal come to life. I also somewhat Batman Ninja. There are moments in that movie that I'm like, man, I'd love like a metal ass cover of this shit. It's great. Fucking great.
I'm trying to think if there's any others that I would say have a metal feel to them, and I can't think of any.
Berserk is such a good example, though. That's
Berserk probably is the best example of a metal anime.
Castlevania, which is very inspired by Berserk.
Castlevania.
Like in season 4, there was these like one moment in particular where certain armor was like, "Whoa, shit! Is this an actual good Berserk anime?" I'm like, whoa.
Vinland Saga. It's got a bit of a metal feel to it.
It's in there. I mean, one of my favorite shots in the entire show is the first OP. It ends on this shot of like Thorfinn on this hill of corpse just shouting to the skies.
That's awesome. A pretty metal scene.
It's very metal.
But yeah, I mean, of late, that's probably the one that I would say has the most metal feel is Vinland Saga. I mean, I guess maybe you could say Attack on Titan, kinda. I'd say it has more of a. If I were to give it a feel of like a music genre, I would say I wouldn't say metal so much as I would say like you might laugh when I say this, but like new rock, like Linkin Park type, rock.
I mean, I'm sure there's so many AMVs of Attack on Titan with
crawling in
my skin. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I can't. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily metal, but some people might think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, Hellsing Ultimate probably is the best besides Berserk.
It's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, it fits that aesthetic. I'd love to see like an artist like try and create artists based on these anime, but a very metal-esque version of them. Like try and actually like make a metal album cover. Featuring these like anime, I actually love to see that.
If there's ever like another Hellsing anime, I'd like to see it just with metal music in it.
Someone make a Doom anime, maybe. Hey, that'll be pretty good. I'd love to see this.
Now you're fucking talking. A Doom anime?
I know, right?
I'm here for it. Get fucking Korone to voice one of the characters in it. Doom. All right.
I'd watch that.
Next question also comes from New Vegas Savior. If you were isekai'd to any of your favorite games, what would it be, and what would you do in that world? So I have an issue with this because a lot of my favorite games have really fucked up worlds. Like one of my favorite games ever is Fallout New Vegas. I don't want to go to that world.
Huh? Nice.
Yeah. I don't know though. Like, what would I choose as?
Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I mean, I guess you could just sit on the fucking fields and look at the scenery.
That would be really nice. I don't know. What are you talking about? That sounds like a wonderful time. Well, I mean, there is some shit going on there, but aside from that, like, I'll go over to that hill over there. I'll be there by myself. I don't see
I think
anything wrong with that.
what's one of my favorite game that I have that doesn't have like a really depressing story. Like a lot of my favorite games, I like Fallout New Vegas, Mass Effect, which is really kind
Mass
of depressing.
Effect is, I mean, it's Mass Effect's universe is so big. You can pick whatever you want.
It's
Like,
true.
dang, I'd love to be a Krogan and just butt heads with other Krogans all day. That sounds like fun.
It does kind of sound like fun. Of course, then you have trouble getting it up, man.
I mean, yeah. Aside from that, but fuck it, dude. It is what it is.
Um, I mean, I love the Elder Scrolls games, but I don't want to go to that world.
Dude, fucking, what was Liara's race called?
The Asari?
Yeah. Dude, imagine living in a galaxy that has that shit. Like, I love one of my favorite.
Your background
tidbits
is very appropriate for this conversation.
I know, right? Like, my favorite tidbits about the Mass Effect universe was that the Asari, they look, to each different person, they look the most beautiful version of their respective race that they look at. So, like, and they have this one scene, I think it's in Mass Effect 2, where there's like, they're in that Omega dance club or whatever, and there's a table of different species, like looking at this Asari dancing, and one of them is like, "What are you talking about? I see a Krogan. What are you talking about? I see like a different race." And it's great. I love that.
Yeah. I'll pick Mass Effect then, and then what would I do in it? Probably have sex with all the aliens. Listen, I am an explorer at heart.
Real quick, who's your Mass Effect waifu?
That depends. If I'm doing a playthrough of Mass Effect as a male Shepard, I almost always romance Tali. As a female Shepard, I typically romance Garrus.
Garrus' best waifu.
Garrus is the best waifu in Mass Effect.
But dude, my man, Miranda.
Oh, my man, your mic fell over. You got so excited by Miranda's ash, your mic fell over.
Where's the lie?
What's going on down there, Natai?
Luckily, I mean,
yeah. Yeah, Miranda's pretty good too. I'd like to know, does anyone in this ever played Mass Effect romance Jacob, the most boring character in all of Mass Effect?
No, you know who was an even worse choice than Jacob? Kaidan.
Yeah, but Kaidan is just Mass Effect 1's version of Jacob. That's why everyone sacrifices him. It's an easy choice.
Did you like Ashley? I know people hate Ashley. I like her, but
as a character, yeah, because I think she's kind of compelling because you watch her become less racist as the fucking games go on. She actually has a development arc, but like as a person, no, I think she's a fucking bitch.
Mass Effect 3 Ashley is really good. I really liked her story there.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Another question from New Vegas Savior. What is your dream anime? That is an easy one for me. Spice and Wolf Season 3. Because it will always be a dream.
I mean, I love more Bakano, but honestly, if I could, I'll do. And okay, if we're talking about like continuations or just of already existing versions, like just readaptations or remakes, Berserk, please.
Yeah. A proper Berserk anime.
Yeah, I'd love that. But
do you know what you need? Do you know what you need? Because obviously, Mira is not going to be the one to finish the story. Do you know if anyone alive today could finish the story as good or almost as good as he could? They should get Hideki Anno to write the ending of it.
Whoa!
I'm serious. They should bring Hideki Anno to finish off the story, because I think if anyone alive today could finish off the story nearly as good as he could, it would be Anno.
So I haven't watched the rebuilds yet, so I don't know what Hideki Anno's mental state is right now.
He's always depressed.
I know, right? But that's an interesting take. That's like, I'm trying to think what that would be like. right? It'll be
the,
weird.
the ending of it is just an Eva landing and taking Guts away.
No, it's Guts shamefully just like lying on the ground while everyone's looking at it like you're the worst.
The lowest of the low.
The lowest of the low. That's an interesting. If here's a more interesting question. What property that isn't like based in already existing anime or manga would you want to be an anime of? Because I know I have an answer for that.
I'd love to see an anime adaptation of the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games.
Ooh.
I really think that could do well as an anime. It's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most that's been announced is the remake of Knights of the Old Republic.
I wonder how will that turn out.
I hope. I know that they brought some people on who have they've done some questionable things.
Yeah.
But
some of the writers there.
I hope that whatever writing they do, maybe they clean up some of the dialogue because some of the dialogue does land a little flat. I mean, if they're gonna keep the same basic story and just come in and maybe clean up the dialogue, I'm fine with that. Especially since a majority of the original voice cast have said they're coming back to do the remake. A couple of them they're forced to recast because they're dead. The original voice actor for Canderous is dead. The voice actor for Jedi Master Vrook, who was Ed Asner, he died last year. So obviously they're going to have to recast a few people. But if the general thing is just like, cleaning up the dialogue, making the, modernizing the game engine that it's running on, I'm okay with that.
Obviously, yeah. Yeah.
I do hope they still keep the basic like game mechanics the same. I know you don't see a whole lot of games that are made with that whole like D&D style anymore, where you can pause and figure out whatever you want to do and then start the fight. But I do hope they keep it with that. Good news, Alex, she quit. Oh, that's the best news I've heard in a long time.
Really? That's good.
That's the best news.
Is there anything in particular that you'd like to see them either fix or change for something else specifically, and is there anything you don't want it to touch at all?
In Knights of the Old Republic in particular?
Right.
Really just the overall story I don't want them to do a whole lot with. If there's anything I don't want them to touch at all, it's probably the end game. Like, I don't want them to change anything about the last like 4 or 5 hours of the game.
I haven't played the original. It just like I actually want to give it a shot. It just came out on Switch actually. I'm thinking about giving it a shot there. But I'm very curious to see how that pans out.
I'm still convinced, even though this was originally announced as like a PlayStation 5 original, it may be, but I'm almost sure it's going to be a timed exclusive. Like for maybe the first 6 months or so, it'll be on PS5, and then it'll come to like Steam and Xbox, and probably Switch too. I don't know how, but it'll probably be on Switch.
On the Switch, I doubt it.
Probably running it'll be running at like 720 at 15 frames a second, but.
I can bitch about these fucking cloud versions they've been releasing that shit, but I'll save that for another rant. I don't know if I want to get into that.
So what's your dream anime then? Of something that isn't like a remake or
So honestly, when I was quite younger, around like 7th grade, I read these pretty much teenager books called Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which were like very, very popular books about like kids that are very focused on like the Greek mythology and all of that. They're really, really fun, really cool. A lot of really cool shit happening. Really interesting world building, and I always I look back at these books very fondly. They're great. And honestly, I love to see some type of anime go for that sort of world and just give it life. And I think it could really work.
Yeah, really I didn't even think about that. That might be a good source material for some anime.
Yeah, but I'd love to see that shit in anime.
All right, next question comes from Parathis. I hate this question, by the way. It's sort of a multi-part question. So, what video game movie has yet to be made that you'd like to see? Curse requirement: you'd have to be totally okay with Hollywood ruining it and making it garbage, and yes, you have to see it. Well, you've already ruined it for me, because if I know it's going to be bad, I'm not going to go see it. Because because you know, I mean, well, besides the fact that there's certain things I have to watch for the podcast that I hate, but we won't go there. But as for the first part, it's for the first part of your question. If there's a video game movie that has yet to be made, I'd like to see. Not really, no, because
not at all. Like, I mean, I'm not a fan of like I'm not that gun ho about like video game adaptations.
I mean,
like,
again, maybe Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, but I don't want that to be a movie. I want it to be a series.
I'm trying to think, like, if we go to question, then I'll probably would rather it be such a catastrophe and adapt like a specific game that'd be like, there's no way they're gonna go for that. It's too stupid. It's too out there. So I'm trying to think of like something that insane.
I mean, maybe the Elder Scrolls, but I wouldn't want an adaptation of any of the games. I just want some kind of original story that takes place in the Elder Scrolls universe.
Trying to think like of a good bad video game movie that would probably be more entertaining than...
I mean, if you're talking about like recent video game adaptations, the Sonic movie is surprisingly good.
That I still wonder if that whole like controversy with his original design, I still wonder if that was like intentional. I put in my tinfoil hat on, but I'm like, I wonder if that was intentional just to get the controversy out there and then get the good faith back with the new design.
If it is, then it's the best piece of marketing I've ever seen.
Right? Right?
But you hey, the new one actually looks pretty good too. I'm gonna go see it when I want to see Knuckles.
Motherfucking Idris Elba. What the fuck?
Do I look like I need your power? I like the fact that when he first announced that he was Knuckles in the new movie, he's like, yeah, but I'm not gonna play him sexy. And then the trailer comes out and we're like, that was a lie.
You know what? I'd love to see. You know what? Fuck it. They've done a Street Fighter movie. They've done a Mortal Kombat movie. They've done all that shit. I wanted to do a fucking Smash Brothers movie. Just make it the shittiest shit ever. I drink before going to watch that.
It needs to be done by Tommy Wiseau. Directed and producing it. The Room.
Is it gonna be still Chris Pratt as Mario?
It has to be. It has to.
He's so cool.
It has to be.
Shit I ever seen. Chris Pratt as Mario. Okay.
All right. So last question. I said last movie. This one comes from New Vegas Savior. What are your thoughts on any anime awards and awards in general? I think this actually leads into something we're going to be talking about, Natai.
Speaking of which, award shows are generally stupid. I mean, I don't like. It's fun to talk about them. It's fun to shit on them. It's fun to like, but every now and then they surprise you. Like, I think there is room for that. Obviously, it just like sometimes they get it right. For example, I think it was I can't remember if it was last year or the year before's Game Awards. That was actually legit pretty good, like a really good show.
I feel like of like recent award shows that have come out, the Game Awards seem to be pretty decent. Like
it's pretty okay.
It seems like last year from what I can tell. From what I can tell, the awards do largely seem to be given on merit alone and nothing else.
Yeah, I think it was actually like so. The 2021 Game Awards show was kind of but I'll give them credit. Like they gave Game of the Year to It Takes Two, like this like really wonderful indie game that I give props to that. Even though most of the show is just fucking marketing. And don't get me wrong, I love that shit. I love getting excited for games and stuff. But let's be honest, it's a lot of marketing. And, I do know that there was someone, and I forget who. It may have been Charlie. Now that I think about it, who said that the Game Awards risk becoming like a mini E3, where it's almost entirely marketing and it completely gets goes away from the awards. Like the awards become ancillary to the marketing. Right.
And I definitely think there's a risk of that. However, I do like the idea that with the Game Awards, they have this thing where they sometimes show off games for the first time at the awards. It gives you another reason to tune in than just them patting themselves on the back.
Yeah, I agree. But then you have shit like the Oscars, which has been just in the past few years, and it's like,
And the Emmys, I think, largely too can be chalked up to that.
and now that Ricky Gervais isn't hosting, it's like there's even less.
Well, he was
reason
doing
to
the
watch
Golden
that shit.
Globes. He was the
Golden
only
Globes,
reason really
right.
to tune into the Golden Globes there for like 6 years.
I'll never get tired of that compilation of the last time he hosted. It's so perfect.
It's one of the best things you'll ever see on YouTube. Um, but I mean, I like the idea of award shows, especially because they almost always start from a place of let's give the best things of the last year in this particular category. Let's give them some recognition. That's how they all start out. The problem with the award shows that I have is what they almost always end up becoming. It's either like with the Game Awards, what I think the Game Awards risk doing, although I think right now they have a decent balance of it, is it's mostly marketing. Or it's just a glorified pat ourselves on the back fest because the people giving out the awards are the same people who made this shit. Academy.
Yeah, pretty much. And also, like, as we'll talk about the Crutcher Awards, I mean, every now and then it'll be just like a fucking popularity contest. And I think, like, as you said, one of the best things that what show can do is like shine light on things that weren't as like projects that people weren't as like familiar with or stuff
Like
like
It Takes Two.
or games or movies. Yeah, like It Takes Two, which is great, and I love that. But every now and then we'll miss the mark.
And I haven't actually played the game, but I've watched people play It Takes Two. It looks like
It
a
looks
fun
great.
game.
I'd love to. Like,
And maybe
play
we should do that as a stream one time.
Maybe we should. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I like the idea of award shows. I just don't like what so many award shows become once they run for a long time. And the thing with like the Oscars and the Emmys, and I think the Grammys maybe have been, I won't say completely innocent of this, but they seem the least innocent of the big three award shows we have here in the States. That it's literally just self-aggrandizing. Who can pay us more for this award, or at least what's the most popular.
Yeah.
Although I say that, and then what was it a few years ago? The Oscars gave
Parasite.
Parasite was I forget the name of the award. Best film is what they call it now.
Yeah.
That award has changed names like 17 times over the last
best feature
15
film
years.
or something like that.
Yeah. Which surprised the hell out of me. I mean, I don't agree. I actually think the best film of that year was 1917, but I would have given a second place to Parasite.
It's a good ass movie.
1917, though, was a fucking phenomenal movie.
It's fantastic. But yeah, like again, the Academy Awards every now and then, like, dude, it's like it seems like they're on a good track, but then it'll be like the shit that happens in that show. Like every now and then I'll watch some compilations, but man, it's.
I mean, hell, they actually announced the nominees for this year's Academy Awards.
Oh, really?
Was it not last week, but late the week before last? Dune is up for a shit ton of awards, and it's the first time in a long time that a sci-fi movie has been nominated for this many awards. It's the first time since Arrival that a sci-fi movie has been nominated for Best Picture.
Damn. Actually.
Yeah. I forget what the last sci-fi award sci-fi movie to win the award for Best Picture.
Was Blade Runner nominated for Best Picture, or am I?
The original Blade Runner?
No, 2049.
No, it was not.
Wow.
I think it was nominated for Best Director, but not Best Picture. I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't exactly remember, but I'm almost certain it was not nominated for Best Picture.
I think it won Best Cinematography, but
that may be.
I'm not too sure.
That may be. But yeah, Dune is also up for a shit ton of technical Oscars as well, which given how that movie looks, it should be. But yeah, it's great to see. I hope my biggest, this is completely off the topic of the question that was asked, but I hope with the success that Dune has had, the fact that it's getting a sequel, the fact that we just got announced, what was it, a couple weeks ago, that Hyperion, one of my absolute favorite sci-fi novels of all time, it's not actually a movie, it's a television adaptation coming. I hope that we get I hope this is the beginning of a revival of good science fiction, because John and I have talked about this a lot because it's one of John and I's favorite. It is my favorite genre of fiction, and it's one of John's favorite too. We have been in such a drought of good science fiction for
sure.
2 decades now, and I want it back so bad, and I'm happy that we're going back to these classics like Dune, like Hyperion, like hell. Maybe we'll finally get the final 2 books of the Arthur C. Clarke Space Odyssey series adapted into either movies or TV shows or something.
Who wrote Hyperion? I don't think I know that book.
If you hadn't asked me, I could have told you. Give me a second.
I'm not familiar with
the name.
I'm not familiar
Dan
with
Simmons. I knew his last name was Simmons. I could not come up with his first name.
Is that also one of one of the biggest sci-fi novels? Like very.
It's considered one of the best science fiction novels of the 20th century. It's actually it's a series of 4 novels. But Hyperion is the first one. But yeah, they're really good if you've never read them. They take on a if you've ever read the Canterbury Tales, they take on a very similar.
No.
They take on a very similar format. It's basically a group of people on their way on a pilgrimage to a specific place, Hyperion. And on the way, they're all telling their essentially life story of how they got to this point.
Okay,
and
sounds
it's essentially just a giant world building book. It builds out this really great world of just people. But yeah, a fun fact: this is a live stream from 2 different locations. It is.
Magic.
Magic. But yeah, let's actually move on to what we're going to be talking about. So it's been a couple of months, so I think we're overdue. Natai, give me the music. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a simp report, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Give me a second.
Give it to me.
Give it to me. Sock it to me, baby.
It's time to judge.
There we go.
It's been too long.
There we go. Let me see if I can. No, I can't zoom in on this. Anyway, so yeah, this is my spreadsheet for the sim report. So this is how much I have donated over the last couple of years to VTubers. So yeah, I'm still Miko is still who I've simped the most for. I've got $450 simped to her so far.
450 goddamn US dollars.
Yep. My second most donated is Crazy Ali at 200. Crazy Ali. I'm almost at $100 with Risu now.
She deserves more nuts. I'm telling you.
She deserves a lot more nuts. I've also got 175 to Usada Pecker at this point. Compecco. I think that's the only 3 digits. Oh no, I also have donated $100 to Gouda. Best short. Of course. Best short. Yeah. I have finally simped for Crony.
I mean, I'm not surprised. How much did you simp for her?
I've given her $50.
I mean, here's the thing with Crony. She's just so that voice is so captivating. You can't ignore her at all.
There's only one word I can use to describe her. It's sexy. Her voice is sexy.
Her voice is sexy. Yeah. It's when we talked about it, you told me that she used to be like an ASMR content creator. That makes so much sense. That explains everything because her fucking audio quality is off the roof, dude. It's damn.
It's
also her design is. Is she your favorite from the new Ian generation?
My favorite design? It might be.
Favorite VTuber from the new Ian group.
Crony is obviously my favorite.
Yeah, I get it.
If I had to say, where is Natai's goat report? I don't know. How many goats have you? I don't have one. Month?
There will never be a goat report.
If I had to pick my favorite design, like actual the way the VTuber looks from the new Ian generation, it might be Mume.
I was about to say Mume is really good. I really like Mume.
I have been tempted, although I have not yet, to simp for Mume.
Every now and then I'll catch her clips. I'm like, God damn it.
She's so wholesome.
It's cute.
She's so wholesome until she's not. And then she becomes completely unwholesome and very murderous.
Submissive and breedable.
That's still one of the best whole live clips ever. Where just getting to hear Risu say submissive and breedable in an Indonesian accent. It's amazing.
Rizzo's range is nuts. Like no pun intended. Like it's wild how like lower voice can
No,
get
I
and
think
then
what you mean is pun intended. Pun very much intended. But yeah, that's
I'm
the
done.
sip report for this month. I have donated a total of $1,327 to VTubers at this point. At least to Hololive VTubers. I have actually donated a little more than that, but they were a long time ago, and I forget how much. I know back in the day I did donate some money to Keys and I, but I completely forget how much it's been.
Oh, Kizunai, a ghost of the past. You were obsessed with her when she first came out.
My, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on from the Simp
Moving
report, and kind of keeping it with the same vein. There's been some VTuber drama in a time.
We talked about this for a while, so I haven't kept up with a lot of it. So so give me the rundown. I'm curious.
Well, I don't want to get too deep into this because John and I, and you as well, have been talking about this behind the scenes. And I think coming up soon, we want to do an episode of our podcast where we talk about this idea of parasocial relationships forming between content creators online and the people that follow them, and how dangerous it can be. And we're seeing how dangerous it can be with some of this VTuber drama.
It's a topic that that's been on for quite many years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of runs the same gambit of how people used to get really, and still do, get obsessed about like actors and musicians. But I think the internet, being that it's a medium where you can be in constant contact with the people that follow you, just amplifies that so much. Like back in the day before the internet was even a thing, I mean, you had paparazzi that would follow famous people around, but you'd only get updates on the things going on in their lives every week, 2 weeks, maybe once a month. It wasn't constantly in your face like it is now with online content creators. Especially not only are you getting the content creators through the stuff that they're putting out like on YouTube or Twitch. I mean, you also have social media, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, what have you, where you can constantly be at Discord, where you can constantly be in contact with these people who, you might like the content that they create, but at the end of the day, you're not really their friend because you don't know them.
You don't know them, yeah. You only know what they show you when they create very specific
what
content.
they're letting you see.
What they're letting you see, yeah. And I mean, I will never understand like content creators that like daily vloggers and that shit that like share their entire fucking like. Can you imagine that?
Like Charlie.
It's not like that. Not like that. Like you have the classic like vloggers that literally show every aspect of their life, their families and stuff, and like I can't imagine that shit even, because that just leads to even crazier weird stuff.
Okay, kiddies, get the popcorn. Yeah, I got a lot to say about this. I don't want to get super deep into it though, because like I said, we want to do an entire episode of the podcast where we discuss this, the three of us at least discuss this and like how dangerous it can be. The whole crux of it is, so over the last month, and it never ceases to amaze me, all this really popped off the day after our last WTF. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, I will say at least the stuff with Callie, the stuff with Rushia is more recent. But yeah, the thing with Callie is that, she hasn't been shy about, wanting to do collabs with other people that aren't necessarily VTubers. And she's been on the Trash Taste podcast a couple of times. One of the people on there is Connor, and he has said some very disparaging things about Hololive VTubers in the past. And that kind of kicked off a bunch of drama about like, people telling her not to collab with people that openly despise them.
Yeah.
And again, I think
despise is the right word, but it's like very disparaging comments.
Yeah.
That he said.
And I think there's stuff that's way deeper to it, and you and I have discussed it. I think that it was, while I think that what Connor said is probably not advisable, I also think that he meant something a little deeper than how it sounds.
Yeah.
A little more like less surface level than how it sounds, and I think he just used the wrong words. And like I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that like I don't think what he said was intentionally malicious towards the entirety of Hololive.
But the shit that kicked off was like, oof.
It's also funny that he said this while he was talking to another VTuber.
I love how
Iron
Aaron was just
Mouse.
like, I think it's time we stop this conversation. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I like yours. Like, you took the very diplomatic route. It's like, I'm gonna say no to this and move on.
Did you see that she just crossed, like, she's the most subscribed to female streamer on Twitch?
Yeah, she's the most subscribed VTuber on Twitch, and I think she is.
And
She the
female
most
streamer.
subbed female streamer. Yeah. I mean,
It's
they just had the
insane.
report come out about like streamer analytics from 2020 or 2021 rather.
Right.
And Usada Pekara was the third or fourth most watched female streamer in
Wow.
2021.
That's insane.
Yeah, and that's
That's
just that,
actually-
and that's just going by like, purely watch time, not subs, not donate, just strictly watch time.
That is insane.
Um,
But back to the whole parasocial relationship. I think one thing that like sort of like that, just like put a little note on it. It's when we talked back, like I don't remember how long ago, about Perfect Blue, and like I talked about how that movie is even scarier now than ever because it's that shit. Like talking
Yeah.
about that parasocial relationship from like viewer to creator to some
Yeah.
extent. It's that whole like rabbit hole is just very dangerous when you take it the wrong way.
And the thing with Rushia that's happened recently is even wilder in my opinion. Like the thing with Callie, I mean, yeah, you can see that people are it comes from a place, I think largely a place of wanting Callie to not get hurt because they're telling her not to collab with someone who has disparaged VTubers in the past. I get it. I mean,
what was the story with Russia? Because I haven't kept up with that much.
I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get too deep into it. The crux of it is that Rushia is a member of Hololive who has always sort of marketed herself as like the GFE VTuber. Like she's supposed to be your girlfriend if you don't have one.
Okay.
And then it seems, although it hasn't been 100% confirmed because both parties are denying it, but it certainly seems based on some DMs that were accidentally leaked by Rushi herself during a stream, that she is in a relationship with another Japanese content creator. He's someone who is like is not a VTuber per se, although I think he does have a VTuber model. He's essentially like an independent, like he sings on stream.
Okay.
Gotcha. There's a term for it in Japanese, and I forget what it is. And apparently he's super popular, and he also kind of markets himself as like I guess BFE, boyfriend experience kind of thing.
That's so. See, this is people exploded over that. I assume.
It did, yeah. Like, the thing with that is, like, again, people are assuming a lot. Nothing has been 100% confirmed, although it seems pretty obvious based on some of the things that were being said in those DMs that had gotten leaked, that Rushia and this other person are in a relationship and have been for a while. And people just went crazy over it. And it's wild to me. It's like, so the people that are upset are upset because they thought that they had an actual chance with her because they donated. That's what I mean by the parasocial relationship. Like if you like a content creator, whether they're a VTuber or not, and you want to donate to them because you like their content, fine. Don't think, however, that entitles you to anything else from them except their undying gratitude.
Yep. And it's like it's a very dangerous rope to walk because like sometimes like whether the creators are intending that or not, when they're like acting in a certain way with your audience, obviously they're inviting sort of like being sort of that friendliness.
It's an invitation to fantasy.
Yeah, like maybe some of them are like I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I'm sure some creators are like sort of prying on these emotions. But a lot of the time, it's just like people are just being genuine to their viewers, and that can backfire because viewers can feel closer to you than you actually are. And like I think it's very important to keep these boundaries of like I'm here for entertainment. I'm here to like if it's like even give a space that you feel comfortable at, that's great. But you don't know me, you don't.
Yeah,
and it's
you see what I want you to see.
Yeah, very precisely.
Yeah, and I mean, most people, I will say though, Twitter kind of ruins that a little bit. Most people don't see content creators at their worst because they
Yeah.
don't show that off.
Yeah.
I mean, some
You don't know
do
what-
because they want to farm like sympathy, maybe, but
Maybe, but you don't see these people when they go to sleep. You don't know what's on, like, what they're like before they, like, you know. They go take a shit. You don't know what they're like.
A
then.
good example of this happened last year with not even a VTuber, a content creator who I absolutely love and adore to death, Jacksepticeye. He's a streamer I've watched for fucking years. He's a fucking credit to the Irish people as well, my people. But no, so early last year, or I may have been even around this time, his father passed away, and he was very, very close with his father. And he was very public about the fact that he was stepping away for a while. He didn't know for how long. He didn't know when he'd come back. And he was like, I'm being very indefinite about this because I need time away. I need time to mourn. I need time to grieve because this is someone I love to death and he's gone now. And, you know, very understandable. You know, I think if anything happened like that to any one of us here on the podcast and we need to step away for a while, we'd all be understanding about that. And for a while, you know, for a few weeks, people were. But then after like 3-4 weeks of him not uploading any content, not streaming anything, people were, and mostly children, because let's be honest, it was only children could react like this, or people who have never grown up and peaked in fucking high school. They were berating him online saying, hey, you know, I fucking subscribed to you. I'm a member of your channel. You know, I give you all these donations. Where's the fucking content, bro?
That's terrible.
And he was very upfront saying, like, I understand, you know, on Twitch, if you want to take your sub away for a couple months since I'm not making content, I'll 100% understand. And, you know, sub when I come back. And he was very upfront about that he wouldn't feel bad about people, since he wasn't making content, not monetarily, you know, supporting him. But then after a couple weeks, people were, or I think it was like after a month or so of him not doing anything, people were like berating him constantly, saying, bro, make content. That's your job. I'm like,
that's terrible.
Yeah,
that's
it's like, dude, his father died.
He's not entitled to do anything for his viewers. I mean, like.
But I think because of that parasocial relationship developed, where people were expecting this from him because they felt like they were owed it since they had donated.
Oof.
And it's like,
I don't know what to say.
And I was talking on our Discord server last night with a couple people who had joined in. That like I'm grateful. I'm 100% grateful for all of the people that follow us, who watch who watch and listen to our podcast, who join our streams, who interact on our Discord server. But at the end of the day, you're not my friend. Like, some of you I do interact with more than others, and like, there's definitely a sense of camaraderie there. But at the end of the day, I don't consider our followers friends. I know that sounds super like, excuse me, that sounds super like cold and callous to say, but it's true, because I've put that barrier up there. There's times where I feel like, shit, you never see that. I'm not going to show that to you because I don't want to show it to you.
Yeah, it's like, it's very important to put that boundary. I mean, it's not just for, like, honestly, like, protecting our viewers and respecting, it's also for us. I think it's mainly, like, for us. You need to have that sort of boundary. And it, like, some people take it to like some extent. That's up to that person. Like, they're very private people who are not even like sharing their faces on like videos and streaming, and that's very understandable. Obviously, like, every person has his own boundaries for privacy. But at the end of the day, you got to remember, like, these people are people after all, and like, they have other stuff going on in their lives, and they have like other things they need to worry about.
Yeah, it's like you see that my finger is disappearing, but you see this dude over here, this fox boy. I'm not this guy. This is just I'm not this guy, clearly. But I mean,
you are a furry.
I'm not a furry. No. I will cop to perhaps being a lolicon, but not a furry. There are some lines I will not cross. Yet. But again, that's something that you know, that you see, but it's because I let you see it. Like, I consider those of us, you know, myself, you know, you, Natai, Show, and John, I consider you guys friends because we've known each other for years. With the exception of you, I've met John and Show like face to face I've met John face to face multiple times at this point. But we've gotten to know each other. We've shared many things together.
A lot of things, yeah.
Nights where I thought I was gonna have to call you an ambulance from fucking America.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Alex wrote a furry tail to high school. No, I did not wear a furry tail to high school. No.
We'll get you that furry costume one day. Don't worry.
But this also kind of leads into something else that I want to talk about, because there's a question that I've been asking myself recently, and it's this question of, does passive support actually help content creators? And by what I mean by that is, like, if you, let's say you follow our podcast, right, and you listen to it, but you never say anything, right? You never say anything at all, like, but you're consuming the content, but you're never, like, telling us whether you like it or you didn't like it. Like, does that really help us in the end? Like, yeah, it's great to have people watching and listening to our podcast, but it doesn't help us grow if we don't know what you think we did wrong or what we can do to be better.
I think it's a very tricky question, because I know that a lot of the content I consume online, I do it very passively. I'm one of these, like, lurkers. Like, I'll watch videos. I most of the time don't like videos. I don't comment. I just watch them. But what I do is, like, every now and then I have, like, some group of friends, and I'll talk about videos I watch with, and that word of mouth, I want to think helps. And so it's a tricky question, because I don't know. Like, I appreciate people, like, just viewing and listening to our content, because, like, that's great. I love that. And, like, some of my friends listen to our podcast, which is great, and I love that too.
My mother listens to our podcast.
Alex's mom. But it's, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that, because, like, I'm one of those people who is very passive when it comes to content consumption.
To all the people claiming I'm a furry in the chat, no, I'm not.
I started this.
So I want to share with you one of the things that got me thinking about this. I mean, I've been thinking about it kind of off and on recently, because there's a lot of people in our Discord server, but a majority of them don't interact very often.
Right.
I'm sure that they're seeing the stuff that we're, putting in our Discord server. They're choosing not to interact for whatever reason. I'm not making a judgment call as to why you might not be doing that. But the thing that totally got me, like, really thinking about this was a post that someone had shared. I think the original post is on Tumblr. RIP that website.
Wow,
it's still around. But the post, and the thing that really got me thinking about it was the response to it. But the original post was, if you're a creator and you needed to hear this today, you have no idea how many people lurk on your work. No idea how many times people go back to revisit your work. How big they smile when they simply think about your work. How fast their hearts beat. How excited they get when they see that you posted something. People are shy with their feedback. Sometimes it's because they are simply shy. Other times it's because they assume you already know how great and talented you are. Could be both. My point is, even if you barely have any likes or reblogs, don't get discouraged. You have a lot of silent fans, but they are still your fans. Keep on creating, because there is always someone out there who will love what you have made. Which, that sounds nice and inspiring, but one of the responses to it, which really got my noggin jogging, was a response that said, passively enjoying media is a quick way to get it discontinued. Creators can't rely on the possibility that maybe there's quiet lurkers if those people engage and prove. Let me completely restart from the beginning here. Passively enjoying media is a quick way to get it discontinued. Creators can't rely on the possibility that maybe there's quiet lurkers if those don't engage and prove the work is actually doing something for them. If there's little to no feedback, things will disappear.
I agree, but there's a very big but, and I think it's something that is true for any piece of art or media that, like, people consume or artists create. Viewers or listeners or anyone who consumes your media do not owe you anything. I think it's very important to keep that in mind. People don't owe you anything. People don't owe you shit. It's one of the reasons why, like, I remember like talking about it a while ago about that example of like, I think someone said, "Oh, people should pre-order games so it helps with the development of the game or something like that." And I was like, "And no, people don't owe you anything or shouldn't like give you money for something that's not yet complete. They buy the product when it's done, and that's the same here. People don't owe you anything.
If it's
It's
their
like,
choice to give you money with
yeah,
stuff's
it's
not
their
complete,
choice.
that's their
It's
choice.
it's definitely their choice. Like some again, some people enjoy just watching passively sometimes, and
I think
it's up
though,
to them.
I think though this advice, the original post that I read out, I think is good advice for traditional media, or like maybe good advice for 10 to 15 years ago. But then another
I think it's
response.
more good advice for your mortality when it comes
It
to
is.
this.
It is. But there was another response to this that I found like interesting. Is like there's a certain innocence behind this, but the reality is that zero engagement on top of an algorithm that works against us is detrimental to our sales and reach. Many, if not all of us, have bills to pay and mouths to feed. The tweet is pretty tone deaf. I mean, in the age
Yeah,
of in the age of like digital content creation, where you're reliant on other platforms, not just your own hard work, to get your work out there, to get picked up by the algorithm,
yeah,
it requires engagement, and no engagement means that no one else is going to see your stuff. Like, yeah, it may get passed around to a handful of people, but you know, if you're whatever you put out there is getting zero engagement,
yeah.
is how is it going to get picked up by anything?
It's hard. It's very very hard. It's like let's not kid ourselves. Like podcasts is a very saturated market. There's so
It
many of
is.
them every day. It's very hard to stand out.
Which is
And
why
like
I'm doubly thankful for everyone who does listen to ours,
yeah,
as small as it is.
and like I'm really happy with the especially like the people we interact with on Discord. Like I'm really happy with the people we interact with, people that leave comments on our videos. It's really really like I'm really it
Who show
gets
up
me
for our
excited whenever
streams.
someone yeah, and people show up for our streams again. Thank you, people who donate. It's really it it's awesome. It's really awesome, and I'm really grateful for that. And it's that's why like a lot of you listen to interviews like with like people who have more subscribers, and I know it's like it's a very hard answer, but when people say don't focus on the numbers too much, it's more maybe it's like it's some people call it tone death. I think it's just for your mental health, not to like try
Oh,
and
for
like be
sure.
too obsessed with it. Try and grow, try and create the best content you can,
Hmm.
and we try here on our podcast. Like, and I hope people like it.
Yeah, within our own
But
limitations, because we all
yeah,
are. We don't have the luxury of being able to be in the same place every week when we record. Like, we're so spread out that we can't do that.
yeah.
So we do the best that
Especially
we
nowadays
can.
when it's not even all of us on the same episode all the time. It's hard.
Yeah. So like I say, yeah, that's why I'm. And you said, like you said, the podcast market is super saturated. Even within the like the anime sphere, the podcast market is super saturated. Like you have two or three
For
people
yeah,
out there, or anime podcasts out there that have 1 million+ subscribers or followers, and then you have people like us who hover in a couple hundreds, and then you have the mid tier, which is a few thousand. That's pretty much
then
it.
you have people with like 10 subs.
Yeah, who deserve more.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's saturated. Especially again, podcasts. Especially like someone read that joke where someone's like, it's like the previous decade. Oh, wait, how did it go? It's something along the lines of this decade. No, last decade, everyone was like telling their buddies, "Hey, let's start a band together." This decade, it's like, "Hey, let's start a podcast together."
That's
You know,
pretty
it's
accurate.
that's yeah, it's very accurate. I love that comment because yeah, everyone's doing a podcast.
Pretty sure you have passively been making this point to me when I asked your opinions on different series. Sometimes sometimes I respond the way I do because I don't want to spoil stuff
Yeah,
on our Discord server. Um,
like I like talking about this because like I think it's very healthy to be open about it because it is
mhm.
what it is. But I think it's some people like I mean, some people like absolutely it's atrocious how they treat their viewers. I'll never forget that one clip of this fucking streamer who she was just berating her audience like. why aren't you guys subscribing to me? It's literally free if you have Amazon Prime. Just give me a sub or something, and it's atrocious.
You're talking about the
what
girl that was like screaming into her microphone, $5.
Yes, that girl. It's like,
how do you have hours of time to watch me and not $5?
It's a good meme, but it's like, how fucking like arrogant you can be to expect people to give you money. Like, who are you?
No, seriously, if I or anyone else on this podcast do that ever in any context, unless it's like actually making fun of this person, just unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe that in moments. Absolutely.
Because if I get to that point, I am no longer worth supporting.
So yeah, like, again, like I love making stuff with you guys, and I hope
we get to keep doing it.
Yeah,
it'll be nice that once John is not super busy with his schooling and show gets his stuff settled out, that we can all four of us be back together regularly again.
Yeah. And if we do if we do manage to meet up on in Otakon, at Otakon, hopefully we'll get to do some stuff there as well. I mean,
maybe.
Maybe
I'm definitely going to Otakon. I've got everything bought and almost paid for, so I'll definitely be there, even if you're not. Fuck you.
I'll try. Fuck you too. I'm not coming after all.
But that's pretty much all I got to talk about this month. Let's talk about the Crunchyroll Awards.
Ooh,
or
okay.
the lack of Crunchyroll Awards.
The lack of Crunchyroll. So I love they announced the time that they will release the like premiere. Or I don't even remember the wording for that, and it was like Wednesday of all days. Yeah. And we're like, oh, it's gonna be a live show on Wednesday night. That's weird. But
to be fair, the last couple of years it has been on like a Thursday night. So
I suppose it was very weird. But then they just released it as a web page.
Pretty much, yeah.
So do you have any highlights you wanna share about that?
Besides the fact that Jujutsu Kaisen got nominated 2 years in a row for Anime of the Year.
At least this time it's over,
Yeah, at least this time it is over, so they actually have some wherewithal to stand on what they were saying. They also nominated Ranking of Kings, another anime that's still fucking airing for Anime of the Year.
I have no clue how fucking Mushoku Tensei wasn't nominated.
No, Mushoku Tensei was nominated for 2 fucking awards. Like
atrocious.
It was nominated for Best Animation, which it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And what was the other?
Not Anime of the Year.
No, not Anime of the Year. I'm trying to figure out what the other one was.
The nominees for Anime of the Year are 86, which is an over, Jujutsu Kaisen, Odd Taxi, Sunny Boy, which I'm looking forward to watch, Ranking of Kings, which is an over, and the winner was Attack on Titan Part 1.
At least they were, specific and said that it was just the first part. I mean, that's
so
better than they did with
I'm okay
Jujutsu
with that.
Kaisen last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's way better than Jujutsu Kaisen, which literally was towards the end of a core. It's like,
yeah. With 86, I can kind of understand it being nominated because it was planned to be over, and the only thing that hasn't aired is the last 2 episodes. I mean, it could completely go to shit in the last 2 episodes. Who knows? But it is pretty good. I can understand that more than Ranking of Kings being nominated.
yeah.
Again, this is just this is why with our award shows that we do, we have the strict thing that it has to have ended before it can be nominated. It has to have ended in the previous year. If it hasn't, then it has to go on to the next year's.
One of the most frustrating things is fucking Mugen Train was good. I don't know why they nominated the fucking TV version of it for so many awards, and then I'm like, what? It's great, but come on.
I'm trying
You're kidding.
I'm opening all these up, so give me just a second.
Yeah, have it open up. If you need the link, I can send it to you.
No, I have the link. I'm just opening up all these different tabs that they have on the website for each award. So I'm going through this, right? And I mean, Anime of the Year, I hate Attack on Titan, but you know what? It's a popularity contest at this point, so sure, why not? Why not?
I'm fine with it, except for the story isn't complete. So part 2 is gonna change the way we see part one, I think.
Best animation winner, I
don't
can
know.
definitely agree with. I mean, we in our award show, we actually gave that to Mushoku Tensei, but they gave it to the Demon Slayer Mugen Train arc, which
Which is like, again,
Yeah.
great animation, but
Yeah.
the movie, come on, it's.
but at least I can understand it had great animation.
I agree.
Best OP they gave to Attack on Titan final season part 1, which we also nominated that.
It was a runner-up. Honestly,
It was
for
our
best
runner-up.
movie.
I forget what we actually was. It was
Taxi.
Odd Taxi. Yeah, that was what we gave for ours. Their nominees were mostly okay, I would say, for best OP. One of
Best
the ones
OP
that
was-
we never even considered was Crybaby from Tokyo Revengers, which is a good OP.
I'll tell you what, like, my qualm with that is the song is great, but the visuals of the OP itself are just like, they're good, but they're not outstanding. or whatever.
They gave best ED to Demon Slayer Mugen Train arc, which okay, sure.
That ED is fine. I just watched it. It's the Beastars ED was better. Even that was nominated. I think it's better. than that.
They gave best boy to Boji, an anime that's not even done yet.
Boji is good though. Like,
No, I'm not saying Boji. From what I've seen of Ranking of Kings, which granted I'm not completely caught up on it, but we're watching it as part of a watch party in our Discord server, which you should
you
definitely
should join us.
But yeah, Boji is fucking great, but he's from a fucking anime that's not finished yet.
Yeah. Otokawa should have won.
They had 2 characters from Tokyo Revengers, which completely breaks the rules of our award show. Anime can only be nominated once. They had Otokawa in there, which is who we ended up choosing for Best Boy.
He won Best Protagonist, which is an interest. Like, sure. Like,
I don't understand why they have a Best Protagonist and Best Antagonist and Best Boy and Best Girl. Like,
I mean, it's like I sort of get it, but it's like,
they gave Best Girl to Nobara from Jujutsu Kaisen. Great female character.
that was like the most basic as like choice out of all the best girls
Of
we had
the
this
ones
year.
they nominated, yes, I would agree with you.
I'm like, it's the Jujutsu Kaisen. It's the most popular. It's like,
Honest, of the ones that they nominated, because they did not, and I should share my screen so people can actually see this. Hold on.
No Eris. No.
Yeah, no
Roxy.
Eris, no
love for the-
Eris, no Rudy. In Best Boy, there was so little representation of Mushoku Tensei, one of the most popular anime of the fucking year that wasn't a sequel.
The only reason I can think of why they wouldn't nominate Rudy as best boy or protagonist because how much people were like, some people vocal about him being like an asshole, and like that's the point of the show.
That's the whole point. But yeah, of the nominees that they have here for Best Girl, I probably would have chosen Komi.
She's thick though.
Thick. Best score they gave to Demon Slayer. I mean, Yuki Kadra, fucking amazing.
But again, it's like it's the fucking train arc. It's like
I'm surprised
I
they
don't
didn't
know.
give any awards to the second season. I mean, it's still airing, but that doesn't seem to be a problem for most of these awards.
I mean, technically it's winter and it came out in 2022, so that's why.
But yeah, I mean, at least they nominated like Odd Taxi and 86, which 86 definitely has a really great soundtrack.
Vivi also.
They also nominated Vivi. Best directing they gave to Odd Taxi, which is what we also gave best directing
That's
to.
right. That's
Their nominees were mostly okay for this. I think they Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, Megalobox. They gave more love to Megalobox in our in their award show than we did, which I kind of feel bad about.
Yeah. And then, you see, like, best film, they fucking give it to Mugen Train, which didn't even come out in 2021. It's like.
Yeah.
I
They did give best
I'm
character
frustrated.
design to Jujutsu Kaisen, which is something I think
Which
we
we
all
also
agree
agree,
with.
That shows.
Now,
the
I want to
diversity
say,
that
like,
you brought out,
I'm
like,
really enjoying Ranking of Kings. Its character designs are not great. They're very whimsical. They're whimsical.
Yeah.
They're whimsical and they're very fantastic, but I wouldn't call them great.
Again, I only watched the first episode, but the impression I got, I was like, I'm down with this art style. They're going for this very storybook-esque art style.
It's very reminiscent of One Piece, and it takes a little getting used to.
I love it.
Yeah, they gave best protagonist to Otakawa, which okay, cool. Otakawa was pretty great. Best antagonist to Eren Yeager. I also like how Eren Yeager was nominated for best protagonist and best antagonist. Yeah,
I'm fine with him as antagonist. I think he's a great antagonist, like sort of character in that part. But like,
and they nominated Yano for best antagonist from Odd Taxi. Why not nominate the monkey boy?
Yeah, I don't know why. He Yano is great though. Let's be honest.
I mean, Yano is certainly unique.
He's a fantastic character.
Yeah,
his rhymes are like top tier.
Best fight scene, Jujutsu Kaisen, sure. I guess.
Sure.
These are awards that we don't really have in ours, so we can't really compare them too much. Best romance, Horimiya. Sure.
I would probably get like no love for Mushoku Tensei.
No love at all for Mushoku Tensei. Best of the nominees they had for best romance, I probably would have picked Fruits Basket the final season over Horimiya.
Have you watched Horimiya?
I have not, but people say it's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving it a shot.
Best drama, To Your Eternity. Okay, I can get on board with that. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Best action, Jujutsu Kaisen. Again, fantastically animated fight scenes. So, that was the single nominee for Studio Trigger.
Also, motherfucking best fantasy for Slime. I'm like,
yeah, over Mushoku Tensei.
It's right there.
I don't understand why. So all of Mushoku Tensei aired during 2021, but yet they specifically nominated Core 1 of Mushoku Tensei. I don't understand.
It's like the same season.
It's the same season. They just split it into 2 parts. But yeah, the fact that John and I will be the first to say Slime Tensei is really fun. It's a fun watch. It is a really oh, that is another thing. So Slime Tensei also aired in 2 parts over the course of the year. So did Mushoku Tensei. Yet they nominated all of season 2 of Slime Tensei and only half of Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah, this year's awards.
I
are
don't
like
understand.
The weirdest.
Crunchyroll,
so
help me understand this.
This year has been the most inconsistent of any of the previous years. It's kind of weird. Like I don't get it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Slime Tensei, even though it's pretty. It's pretty. What's the word I'm looking for? Predictable. For an OPMC.
It's not earth shattering.
It's not earth shattering, but it is fun. It's fun. It's a fun watch.
It's a chill isekai.
It is. Horimiya is so nice. It's what a lot of people say.
I'm looking forward to watching it soon. Maybe.
Best comedy they gave to Komi. Okay, fine.
Which again, I'm like, is it were there already strong comedies this year?
Don't Mess With Me, Nagatoro was pretty
okay.
good.
Like I'll take your word for it, but it's like Komi-san is good. Is it best comedy though?
I would say probably best slice of life that came out this year, last year, Komi.
What about Eurocamp?
I retract my previous statement.
I didn't even watch that shit, dude. And I still didn't even what?
I retract. I completely forgot that Eurocamp came out. It feels like so long ago because it came out at the very beginning of the year.
In the words of Alex, a new standard for slice of life forgets about it after 2 months.
No, it aired so early into the year. I'd completely for some reason my brain wants to think that Eurocamp season 2 aired in the fall of 2020, not the winter of 2021. I don't know why my brain thinks that, but they gave best film to, like you said, Mugen Train.
Which is ridiculous. That movie didn't even come out in 2021.
No, it came out in 2020. Granted, we got it in North America in 2021, but still.
So fucking stupid. I can't. That's the one category I'm like that. This doesn't make any sense.
I would have given this to Evangelion, not. I don't. Yeah, I would have given this to Evangelion, and then I didn't even bother looking at the. I mean, I'll look at them. They gave it to Yuki Kaji for Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan.
I don't care.
Which okay, fine, whatever. Again, this is another one where they nominated 2 characters from the same show, which no, inconsistent. Yuri on Ice, My Hero, and Demon Slayer Heroes. Yeah. I mean, do
Yeah,
you remember the first Crunchyroll Awards, which was just the My
that was
Hero
a
Awards?
shit show. The My Hero Awards. That was shit. Wow, my god. Yeah, Crunchyroll. It seemed like I think I'm trying to think of which year was like sort of okay. I think like the demon. I think it was 2019 was the best of them all when Demon Slayer. Like I didn't agree with it, but for the most part, it seemed like that show was the most okay.
Mm.
But man, they're so like it's like you're like okay, you can do it, but then they're not. It's like they fucked it up. And this year's especially is like just for the fact that it's like it's just a fucking they just put it out there. These are the winners, and that's it. Like thanks, I guess, for the brevity, but it's still.
I think I mean one thing that we
so inconsistent.
Because one thing we've done for the last few years is we've hosted a watch along of the Crunchyroll Awards in our Discord server, and it was thoroughly my plan to do that this year as well.
Yeah.
Before
Last
I found
year's
out
was very entertaining.
Yeah, before I found out that they weren't going to be doing an actual broadcast this year, but it's certainly been a highlight every year. It's why our awards come out when they do, because we always have our awards come out the Monday before the Crunchyroll Awards go out. There goes your mic again. Were you thinking about Miranda?
Can you blame me?
But yeah, it's crazy because one of the criticisms we lobbed at the first couple of years that they did the Crunchyroll Awards was how long they were. They were like 3-hour long presentations, and they'd have people from all over like the anime sphere on YouTube come in and do the presentations. Which it makes it seem like a regular award show, but my god, it went on for 3.5 hours the first one.
But last year was sort of brief. It wasn't that long. I think it was like an hour or so.
It was like an hour, like a little over an hour long presentation. It was almost entirely pre-recorded, but that was fine.
Yeah. And you also, the pandemic and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think the reason that didn't happen with 2020's Anime Awards is because it really happened before the pandemic really took off at the beginning, at the end of February, early March.
Right.
So yeah, I think that 2021's was largely a consequence of COVID, and I feel like if it hadn't happened, we probably would have got something similar to 2020's in 2021, where they probably would have invited a bunch of people on to present awards, and it would have been like a 2.5 to 3 hour long thing.
Yeah, this year's was the worst by far.
The best thing that Crunchyroll I think can do is either they need to keep it like this, where it's just like a website presentation kind of thing where it all goes up at once and you do whatever, or they need to actually commit to a specific presentation style every single year and just and roll with it as much as they can. And another thing they need to do is they need to have set criteria publicly available. I need to show it, set criteria for what gets nominated for what award.
These awards are so fucking inconsistent. It's wild. Like, I'll go back to that. There's no reason for Mugen Train to be on best film.
Cringy jazz band playing anime themes. Yeah, that's exactly what we need for the Crunchyroll Awards.
That's exactly what we need. Yeah.
Hey, say what you want about it. Like, last year's being like just this hour-long presentation, it was whatever. It certainly wasn't what we were expecting. But we still were able to take...
It was better than this.
It was better than this. But even the year before, where they actually had people come on to, like, music they had, and they sat down on the couch and stuff. And we just spent, like 2.5 hours making fun of the people that they got to choose the award, or announce the award.
That was way more entertaining. Yeah, that was way more entertaining. Even if it's not good, at least it's something. This is like...
It felt like you were actually somewhat involved in the show itself.
Yeah, I agree.
I also think that they need to make it so that it's either a fan vote or it's judges, not a combination of both. They don't need to do like a bunch of waiting and stuff like. So what we do we started doing this year for our award show, I'm sure we'll bring it back next year too, is we do have a fan vote, but it's separate from the awards that we give out. So we give out our own awards, and then we mentioned what you guys thought in our Discord server from some polls that we put up.
Which was a lot of fun. I really like that.
Yeah, and I think that's how we'll do it again next year, with a couple of award categories that we're going to be adding. And we're also going to codify. We've kind of had it like, between us what the like the qualifications for being nominated are, but I think I'm gonna like codify it in like an actual document and put it out there for people to see. So like
Right.
this is what has to happen for an anime to get any kind of nomination in our awards.
Yeah.
My nose is like super itchy right now. Holy shit. I'm not picking my nose, I swear.
You need a pee break.
Yeah, maybe I do. But anyway, let's move on to this because you want to talk about Microsoft. I know they're buying everything that's They're eventually going to buy us.
That announcement was huge. So Microsoft bought motherfucking Activision Blizzard for a few $billion.
Yeah, just a few,
16,
just a few $billion, just pack a change.
Almost $69 billion, which is like nice. Yeah, I don't know, like, so we've been going on for quite a while now, but I do want to talk about this somewhat briefly because I do think it's interesting. It sort of like came out of nowhere, especially with the whole Blizzard Activision shenanigans that have been happening throughout the past few months, or almost this past year, of the lawsuit, the lawsuit against them, and all the stories that came out of that environment of people like getting harassed, and some of them even like lives being affected in very terrible ways. Suddenly, this announcement of Microsoft being like, "Oh yeah, Xbox is buying Activision Blizzard. They're gonna like merge with us, like not merge, but we're buying them." And it's kind of strange. Like, I don't know how to feel about this entire situation because it seems, for the most part, like at least for like the people at the trenches, like the developers actually might end up for the better with like new management heading their company and just like not being tolerant anymore of the shit that they've been through. On the one hand, that's like maybe it's like naive of me to feel that way, but it seems like that's what's gonna happen. But then, like, the shitty side that's apparently gonna happen is like, we joked about the severance package that all of the, like, Bobby Kotick, all the upper management in Activision Blizzard that's gonna leave after this buyout. It's like kind of depressing. It's like, wow, shitty people doing shitty things, and
they're basically getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, so like, there's just so much to talk about with this because it's these, and also like all the things that I said so far. Also, the thing like more and more companies buying more and more smaller companies. Like,
now it's worth mentioning that in the United States, this deal, while it's been agreed upon by both parties, hasn't gone through yet because the FTC has to approve it. Because there's a question, especially in something as big as this, of forming a monopoly. So I think it's probably going to go through. I think that if Microsoft buys another large studio after this, that probably won't go through. I also find it's very funny that shortly after this happened, Sony's like, "Oh, by the way, we bought Bungie."
Yeah, I love that because like, well, we got this. Which, I mean, these sort of deals, they take sometimes years to go through. Let's be honest, to actually be made public. So obviously, this has been going on in the background for a long time now. But yeah, it's like is this like a new race that we should expect, like more and more bigger publishers buying more and more companies? It's like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, obviously, I can't say how it's going to be outside the United States, but I can say that inside the United States, what we're going to see, if this trend does keep up, is we're going to see them testing out antitrust laws left and right.
Maybe I hope laws are gonna like catch up with this shit, because like it's kind of worrying.
Because this wouldn't be the first time that if there's an antitrust lawsuit with something that Microsoft acquires, this wouldn't be the first time. In the was it the early 2000s? I think maybe it actually been the year 2000. Microsoft actually got broken up slightly because of an antitrust lawsuit. Yeah. It was basically argued that, hold on, I'll bring it up real quick.
It's just like it's just like it was last year or 2 years ago when Disney bought 20th Century Fox. And it's like, damn, all of these like different like entities are like becoming these like huge conglomerates, and you like, it's kind of scary, more and more stuff is being controlled by less and less entities as it is. It's kind of like, I don't know how to feel about it. So this whole like situation is like there's so much to talk about because both that subject of more and more like companies buying each other. It's the whole thing of like shitty people like getting their golden parachutes and leaving, and it's like kind of depressing. But I just saw like the people like the developers who've been suffering through these like past few years. It's like gotta be in better workspace. I don't know.
So the court case that I was referring to is United States v. Microsoft from 2001. The case was decided on June 28, 2001. The plaintiffs alleged that Microsoft had abused monopoly power on Intel-based personal computers in its handling of operating systems and web browser integration. The central issue to the case was whether Microsoft was allowed to bundle its flagship Internet Explorer web browser software with its Windows operating system. Bundling them is alleged to have been responsible for Microsoft's victory in the browser wars, as every Windows user had a copy of Internet Explorer. It was further alleged that this restricted the market for competing web browsers such as Netscape Navigator or Opera, since it typically took a while to download or purchase such software at a store. So this led to the court ruled in the United States' favor in this one, and this led to Microsoft being forced by the government to separate its software division from its hardware division.
Gotcha.
They had to be run as separate. They had to be run as separate companies.
See, that makes sense. But I don't know if when it comes to like Xbox being like a big publisher, like sort of like a bigger entity responsible, like who owns all of these small publishers. Like when I say small, like Bethesda obviously is huge, and so is Activision Blizzard. They're huge, but like it's.
One thing, and you brought it up, one thing that I definitely have seen. So a couple of years ago, we had Microsoft buy Bethesda, which was a huge acquisition. No one saw that.
Was that like last year?
It was not. It wasn't last year. It was the year before last, 2020, I think. Very beginning of 2020.
That was huge. But then
just shared the YouTube channel link to a Yu-Gi-Oh server. Oh, thank you. Always happy to have more interaction and more eyes on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
But no, and then previously, Microsoft had also bought Obsidian. And so this put both of these companies under the same roof. It leads me to believe that hopefully one day we get a remake or a remaster of Fallout New Vegas.
New Vegas?
Please. Whose dick do I gotta suck? But also something that happened that hasn't been, I mean, it's been publicized, but it hasn't been like, thrown out there like the whole thing with Bobby, what's his last name?
Bobby Kotick.
Kotick. I always pronounce it coccyx, and I'm like, that's not how it's said.
Bobby Cottage.
Cottage cheese. No. So one of the things that has happened is a couple people at both of those companies who were either like severely underperforming or like bad apples, people who had maybe some allegations placed against them, they were quietly let go. Now, to what degree they were let go with a severance package, I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe someone can find that information for me. But it seemed like that Microsoft was like committed to cleaning up these companies and making them better under their umbrella. If that's the case with Activision Blizzard, I'm all for it. Even if people are getting, these massive severance packages, whatever, if it gets them out of the industry, I think that's a net positive for the industry.
Yeah.
Because obviously Bobby Kotick has this giant cloud hanging over his head, no matter how big of a severance package he has, that I feel like, at least in America, there are very few studios that are going to hire him ever again. I
don't know. Like, I don't think, like, CEO position, sort of things like that, will, like, I think he'll be just fine.
Monetarily he'll be fine. He doesn't ever have to work again.
That, and I think we'll hear about him becoming a CEO of a different publisher or company or whatever.
Or he could end up becoming a CEO of a completely unrelated industry. Some other, like PepsiCo or something. Who knows?
It's kind of like, it's just frustrating. It's just very, very frustrating that so many lives were affected by this piece of shit.
Yeah.
And he's gonna probably get away with it scot-free, and it's like.
But this is seemingly a trend now of these giant companies buying these small publishers and just putting them under their umbrella. I think that the whole thing with Sony buying Bungie was a knee-jerk reaction to Microsoft buying Activision.
I don't know how much of a knee-jerk reaction it was.
I
Again,
don't know.
these take a long time.
Yeah, maybe it's been going on behind the scenes for a while and we just never knew about it.
I mean,
But
obviously they did it because like we're gonna see a trend here of more of Sony Xbox buying more and more studios, and I believe it wholeheartedly.
my thing
But
is the crazy thing is that, and maybe this goes more to their corporate culture, that Nintendo's just sitting back there with the popcorn, just watching this thing all go down. Are they going to get in on this eventually?
They don't give a shit.
Because surely they got some money to throw. I'll tell you a company that has some money to throw around that I would not be surprised to see get into the gaming space, like buying a video game publisher, is Apple. Because they're sitting on a giant, like, billions of dollars of liquid assets that they have yet to spend. And like,
that's not even talking about like stuff like Tencent, which they have their money in like a lot of stuff like Epic and the Chinese market, which is huge.
But I say I wouldn't be surprised at all to see someone like Apple with their giant pile of cash that they've been sitting on for almost a decade now to just throw like, 10, 15, 20, 100, 200, 300 billion dollars out there trying to get someone.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, we just saw like Google is shutting down Stadia, which was like the biggest like joke that's been in quite a long time. So it depends how they go about it.
I don't know. Some of these other big companies, I wouldn't be surprised to see them gobble up a couple of smaller studios. I do think that it's funny that Microsoft has announced that, because one of the big questions with them acquiring Activision, does this mean that Call of Duty is going to be an Xbox and PC exclusive now?
And they said no.
They say no. They say no. I find it funny because one of the things that people don't realize about not only with this generation of gaming consoles, although it's not so much with this generation, because this generation of gaming consoles doesn't have by default disk drives, but with the last one, with like the Xbox One, it had a Blu-ray drive in it. Blu-ray is owned by Sony, so that means that every single Xbox One that was made and sold, Xbox or Microsoft had to pay a royalty to Sony to license that technology.
Players.
They might. I haven't bought any of these consoles, so I don't know. It probably does. I know that I think you can actually get them without disk drives, though.
Yeah, both they have like their counterparts without disk drives. Yeah, they do. But I think the ones that are, I think they are Blu-ray players.
I think that's funny, and it's like, well, now Microsoft has this thing where if you want this thing to not be an exclusive to us, you can pay up.
I think like the big like franchises like Call of Duty that now Xbox owns, I think they will stay multi-platform. They literally like lose money by making it exclusive.
Do you think that any of Activision or Blizzard's properties will become Xbox or PC exclusives?
Call of Duty, I most certainly believe it will stay multi-platform. As for stuff like Diablo and like whatever comes with Overwatch 2 someday, or like, I think that will, I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know. Well, the Warcraft will stick to PC, obviously, but like,
I have a theory about
with Diablo and Overwatch. I don't know.
I have a theory. This isn't necessarily about Activision, but now that Microsoft owns Bethesda and Obsidian, I think that it's pretty much been announced, I think, that Starfield is going to be an Xbox exclusive. Bethesda
and Elder Scrolls 6.
And Elder Scrolls 6, but Todd Howard, Starfield is what Todd Howard has said is his magnum opus, so...
Props to them for making Starfield, like, available day one on Game Pass. Like, that service is, like, a huge steal, honestly. Like, it's crazy how much value you get for it.
It is. I'm still not sold on the concept, though. I don't like the idea of games as a service. I like the idea of owning something. Like, this is mine.
I'm with you on that, but like I can't deny that like it's a good deal. It's like
it's a big part of the reason why I still like buying anime on Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah,
it's because
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. But like I can't deny the value you get.
Oh yeah. If it's a game that comes out and you really just want to play it once or twice, get it on Game Pass, play it through once, twice, maybe 3 times, and then you're done with it. You don't have to worry about it ever again.
most definitely.
But for stuff that I want to have and play for years and years and years and years,
Yeah,
I'd rather
owning
own
it is like, yeah, I'm with you on that. That's why I don't use Game Pass.
But speaking of games, we've been playing Halo. How
Halo's
you liking
pretty
it?
good. Halo is really fucking good. So like Halo is a franchise I observed from the side for many years. I knew of it. I like was familiar with like its aesthetic or whatever, but never got into it. It just looked cool. But yeah, playing through Reach and 1 and 2 and now 3, finally, is a blast. I'm having a great time with it. Halo 1 was like really fun. I had a lot of fun. It didn't feel as jarring going back to it as I thought, and you sort of warned me of it. It still holds up. Like it's still a good game at its core, with all of its flaws. But damn, Halo 2 was that game is solid as fuck. The ending, like the last level, is like it's okay, but Halo 2 was a blast. I had a lot of fun with it. Like you were there for my reaction for the first level. I was having a great time with that first level.
Yeah,
Especially, like,
I'm surprised you didn't have more of an issue going from Reach to the first Halo game than you did.
It was a I don't know. I just like I had a lot of fun with it. I like how open the first Halo felt. You know, like these open levels. Well, it is like the beach level,
which is amazing considering it's a game made in 2000 or came out in 2001.
Yeah, it still holds up. Like that. That's why. That's like we like. I talked with one of my buddies from work about Halo Infinite. I was like, sort of like, I still like I haven't played it.
Neither have I. As much as I want to, I haven't played it yet.
But I'm sort of like confused by that decision of going open world because, especially after playing some of these games, like the design of the sandboxes is just so tight, so well thought out. Like how the enemies can like flank you and you can interact with the levels and all the like this entire sandbox that they created. And when you make it an open world, it's sort of like it's gonna lose all of that focus, you know. And again, going through Reach and 1 and 2, seeing all of these encounters, it feels so like tight and well thought out. It's great. I'm having a great time. And 3 so far is a lot of fun. The sound design is weak, which is surprising.
Which is a constant criticism of 3, and I think rightfully so. That pay your sound designers.
Yeah, but aside from the sound design, 3 is a lot of fun. I'm having a great time in 3 so far.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
2 so far for me. I think it's 2, Reach, 1. I think that's the ranking so far.
Okay, and you haven't finished 3 yet, so
yeah, we haven't finished 3. But,
3 it'll be very interesting because once we get done with Halo 3, the only game we have left to play that was made by Bungie was Halo 3 ODST because it wasn't our intention going into this, but we played Reach before we played everything else, so we're essentially going through it. We're essentially going through it in chronological order instead of release order. But then we get to Halo 4, which was the first Halo game made by 343.
I'm curious to see how noticeable like it's gonna be the difference between just specifically just how it's designed, you know, like the levels and how it sort of plays out. I'm curious to see it.
Yeah, and Halo 3 ODST is a completely different animal altogether.
From what I've heard, it seems like it's gonna be real cool.
Yeah,
really different.
You'll have to keep in mind that you're not a fucking Spartan anymore. You die a lot easier.
Yeah, but I don't like it's. I'm really curious to go back and see like more documentaries about the making of like the original 3 Halo games and maybe even Reach, because it's really great. Like I can see why people are like attached to Bungie as a studio, at least like from that era, because these games are just solid, just really fucking good.
And those games also came out when the internet was really starting to take off as well, and Bungie was really good back in the day of, you know, keeping in touch with their fans, letting them know what was going on. I mean, this was obviously, a lot of it was before YouTube, so they were like posting videos and stuff on their website showing like devlogs and stuff like that. They were the first game studio to really embrace this idea of like, you know, constantly keeping in touch with their fans, having the Bungie forums, which I think are still up to this day, by the way. I think the original Bungie forums are still up. I don't know if the website has changed or anything. But yeah, it was great. It was great keeping up. Those are like my formative years too. Those are my teenage years where all
The
that was
only
happening.
the only thing I feel like I'm missing out on, which obviously I didn't play the games when they were out, is like whenever I see videos about Nakey Jakey has like terrific videos about all the Halo games. I really recommend them. Like I watched them years ago, but they're great. It's like you would talk about the experience of like playing with the online and stuff like that. Obviously, that's something I will never be able to experience again. That sort of like evolution. But how was it like for you when you play like specifically Halo 2? Because that's the one where the online play sort of blew up, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was sort of. I mean, there was the system link thing with Halo 1, which you had to take your Xbox over to your friend's house, hook it up with the other Xbox, and you could get, I think, up to 16 players? I forget how many. It
led to some like awesome LAN parties.
Yeah, it's essentially what it was. Instead of taking a computer with you, you were taking your Xbox console with you. But yeah, when Xbox Live came in, and Halo 2 was really the first to take advantage of Xbox Live, that was crazy. Like the idea that you could play with your friends and you didn't have to be in the same room, that was revolutionary at the time.
Right.
And just staying up all night to maps or do co-op campaigns together. It was a great time. That time was really a great time to be a gamer. Like that era between like when the Xbox originally came out, and I'm not singling out Xbox like a fanboy or anything, but like when that originally came out in 2001 to like at the end of the life, whatever the end of the life cycle was for the generation that the Xbox 360 was in. Like that was a great time for games.
Yeah.
And just to be a gamer in general.
Which Halo is your favorite? How would you rank them?
2 is probably my favorite. Then the first one, then Reach, then ODST, 4, and I'd have 5 at the very bottom.
Yeah, 5 is the weakest one.
And then if you're talking about like the 2 Halo Wars games, I mean, they're so different than the other Halo games. I feel like it's
obviously, yeah,
it's not fair to compare them.
Nah.
The first Halo Wars game is available on Steam. So we could play that too.
We could.
You won't understand the story of Infinite without playing through Halo Wars 1 and 2.
God damn it.
Just saying.
Sure. Just saying. But yeah, like Halo is really fun. It's like I think it was like 2 years ago when I played Half-Life 2 for the first time, like actually going through from the beginning to end with the episodes. And man, those like classic like single player focused like campaign games were like they're so fucking good. Like I'll never get enough of them. They're so much fun, so like innovative, like with some of the mechanics they bring to the table. Like I think the newest like campaign game I enjoyed was Titanfall 2. And it's fun, and that one is like Respawn, like the people who made like the classic COD games. If John was here, he would start gushing with me about Titanfall 2. But yeah, I'm always down for like a good campaign, and so far, Halo is great. Like I enjoyed all of these games.
It's funny that there seems to be so much emphasis these days on like the multiplayer experience of some games that they completely ignore the or just severely underdevelop the single player campaign experience. And
because
I feel
for
like
so
that's
many years been so undercooked. So it's like people are like, oh, these campaigns suck. So they're like, oh, we'll just won't make them anymore.
Yeah. But I think there can definitely be some really great single player experiences in games. I mean, Elder Scrolls is a great example of great single player experiences in games.
Yeah, obviously, but that's more like a JRPG. Like that's the main focus of the game. All of these shooters, like also like.
I have heard rumors, and I hope they're not true, that there will be a multiplayer element to Elder Scrolls 6. I hope that rumor is not true at all. If it is, I hope the multiplayer element is you can invite a friend into your game and you can go questing together, like as a companion, like as a follower.
So what you're saying is we're getting Skyrim 76, right?
I hope not. I really hope not.
What a stupid game. Fallout 70. What a mistake.
I hope, if anything, Bethesda learned their lesson with that.
They didn't. I doubt it. I doubt it.
I genuinely wonder if Todd Howard is actually bitter, like people say he is, about how popular Fallout New Vegas is compared to any of the other Fallouts that Bethesda has made. Because people say all the time that he's bitter about it. I wonder if he really is.
The most tragic thing about New Vegas is that classic story of them, like, so they would get these, like, I don't know if it was a bonus or like another contract or something. I don't remember what the reward was.
I know what you're talking about. It was a bonus.
It was a bonus for, like, if the game would, like, receive a Metacritic of over, I think it was 88, right?
85, I think. It had to be 85 or higher on Metacritic.
I think it was 88 because isn't it 87 on Metacritic right now?
I'll look.
It's I'm probably wrong, but it was like a point difference for Obsidian to get that bonus. It's like, that's hard. That's so frustrating.
Let's see. Fallout
Whatever
New
it
Vegas.
was, it's like a point.
Yeah,
difference.
it's sitting at an 84 on Metacritic. So I think it was.
So
it
right.
was.
85.
It was 85. The user score is 8.8.
Oh, okay. So
that's probably where you're getting 88 from. But yeah, the thing was they were offered a bonus after the game came out. If they got an 85 or higher on Metacritic, they would get like, it was like tens of thousands of dollars worth of bonuses for every single person that worked on the game. And then it comes out and it gets an 84 on Metacritic, and they're like, well,
that's so shitty.
Which I find even funnier today because it's one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. It really is.
I love Fallout 3. I never played New Vegas, but it seems like a lot of people who love 3 and don't like New Vegas are for very specific reason, and then vice versa. Like, people who love New Vegas don't like 3, like, even as close as one. Like, so I'm curious to play New Vegas someday.
That's another thing. So right now on our streams, I'm playing through Skyrim, which I will be doing another one of those tonight, by the way, in a few hours. I'm also thinking about doing like a full playthrough of Fallout New Vegas at some point.
Ooh.
Although I'll have to mod it because I don't want it to crash every 5 minutes.
That game is still not stable?
No.
Wow.
I don't know if it's stable on consoles now, but it's certainly not on PC.
That's a shame. That's so shitty.
And it's amazing how much cut content there was for Fallout New Vegas. There's a dude on YouTube called Triangle City who, over the last couple years, has been like meticulously documenting all of the cut content from Fallout New Vegas, and he's got like 50 videos on it. And each video is like 15 to 20 minutes long.
Wow. I'm curious about New Vegas. I want to give it a shot someday. It's How long is it? Is it like a very
like the main
RPG?
story, the main campaign story is, I mean, you could probably finish it in 25-ish hours.
Okay. That's a good chunk.
But the thing about New Vegas is like the insane amount of side quests. Absolutely insane amount of side quests. For a game that had like an 11-month development cycle.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It's amazing when you look at the game. It's why I give it a lot of leeway for its technical issues. Like, it had an 11-month development cycle. Same with Star Wars Knights of the Republic, which was another thing that Obsidian took over from with BioWare. They did the same thing to them. There was like an 11 or 13-month development cycle for that as well.
Wasn't like the reason behind that is that like most of the quote unquote like assets and how the engine worked and all of that, like they were ready to go.
Yeah, they were essentially what happened with both of the things with Knights of the Old Republic 2 and New Vegas was for both BioWare and Bethesda. They said, here's our game engine, here's all the assets we used for the first game, make us a new game. Here, you have 11 months. Good luck.
Damn Obsidian.
The amazing thing is there's a lot of people that still work at Obsidian today that were there for like the development of New Vegas, which is I'm saying like what a great opportunity now that Obsidian and Bethesda are under the same roof. get these people, as many of them as you can, back together, and remake New Vegas.
Also, now Obsidian's like owned by Xbox, as you mentioned, and like hopefully that means that they're getting more time because they're working on this like RPG right now, right? It's like I don't remember the name of it, but they're working on something sort of similar right now.
I forget what it's called as well, but yeah, you're right.
So I'm curious to see how that pans out.
Yeah, so let's finish this up. What? Tell me about the weird people.
This rings a bell to you, someone, because I noticed something really weird about the place I work with. Just some weird people there. Now I'm weird, right? I'm a very strange person. Like I get that, but I'm talking about a very specific kind of weird. So like, okay, let me set this.
Of us work in the same industry, IT.
Yes, we will both work in the same industry, like specifically like network security stuff like that. Now, so I arrive at the office, and of course I go to the toilet, gonna take a piss before starting work, because why not? I enter the bathroom, and to my surprise, I see this like person.
Where are you going with this,
new guy? I see this new guy brushing his teeth in the toilet, like in the bathroom.
In the bath, not actually in the toilet.
Not
like
the
with
actual
the
toilet, but in the bathroom, like the bathroom sink. And I'm like, I was never prepared for this situation. That's weird? That's weird, right? I'm not crazy for thinking this is strange.
It's certainly not like the average thing you see at work, but what I would say there's way weirder things that happen at work.
Yeah, oh wait, there were weirder things, but I'm like, right? This isn't a guy who worked a night shift. This is a new guy. He's fairly new. No one's asking him to work the night shift. It's like, so like I was like, oh hello, and he's like mouthful of just paste. Like, okay, sure, have a nice day. Do you experience anything of the sorts?
I've had some weird stuff happen at work before. Now the thing about brushing your teeth, I've seen that at places besides a person's house before. I see it all the time in airports.
Airports, like, it's sort of get because like the time of some flights, you don't. Sort of, sure. Maybe you were sleeping at the airport for your connection, sure. But again,
it's work.
I don't know. In this context, this guy who doesn't sleep, like doesn't do night shifts, fairly new. Just like I don't know, it's strange to me.
Oh, I've at work before. So I work from home now, so my home is my office.
Yeah, that's what. But I'm curious, like, what's some of your stranger experiences working?
The office building we used to have actually had a shower in it, and I've taken showers there multiple times, but that was because when I woke up to actually go to work, the water was off in my apartment because of like a water main break down the street, or they were doing some inspection of the pipes nearby, so I couldn't get a shower before I went to work.
Right.
And so I would call ahead and say, hey, I'm coming in a little bit early before my shift starts. There's no running water at my apartment. I need to get a shower before I start work. So I have taken a shower at work before. And that also did include me brushing my teeth. So I have brushed my teeth at work, but that was not like something that I did of my own volition. It was because there was no water at, my apartment.
Yeah.
It was the only place I could really go to get all this stuff done. I've seen multiple people sleep at work during their lunch break.
What do you mean sleep? They're just
like they'll lean their chair all the way back, all the way back and just sleep, close their eyes and fall asleep.
Some days I can get that. Like, it's kind of sad, but some days I can feel like that. I'd be like, I'm just like dozing off at work because
we had a guy who he would go to sleep on his lunch break, but he wouldn't sleep at his desk. He would go out into his car. Keep in mind, I live and work in Central Florida, where it gets hot as fucking Hades in the summertime.
Why?
Dude would go out to his car and like lean his chair, like his the driver seat, all the way back, and just fall asleep in his hot ass car. And I told him one time, I asked him one time, I was like, why do you do that? There's empty offices here you could go like lay down in if you want that. And he's like, yeah, but it's my car.
Dude, where's my car?
I don't understand. But hey,
that's weird. I don't know. More power to them. Don't get me wrong, but
I do think that the IT field does attract some very weird people, though.
It attracts a lot of characters. I agree.
There's a dude that I work with, like He's what you might call an autistic savant.
Okay, sure.
I don't think he
Let's see
actually
where you're
has.
going with this.
I don't think he actually has autism, but he's got one of these minds where he remembers some of the most like, ins- I, I guess you might say they're insignificant details, but he also has like very little social skills.
Okay.
So I can give you a good example. One of the things he does is he takes care of a lot of the servers that we monitor for one of our clients, right?
Okay.
And routers and virtual hosts and all kinds of stuff. He can tell, because he works with these people so often, he can tell you the exact IP address of every single piece of equipment that we manage for them off the top of his head without looking it up.
Wow.
I don't know how he
Guys.
does this. I don't know why he does this, but he can do this. It's one of his superpowers.
I'm not. I'm going to say something. I'm saying it like in a positive way, not like a detrimental way. It's like it's probably on the spectrum of like
Maybe.
people to some extent. Probably.
I have never asked him that point blank, but he certainly seems like someone who could be.
Yeah. This field does attract a lot of strange people. One of them. So I was training this group of people. Pretty much, they would answer calls. In the
Natai
call center
Sensei.
that I work at. Yeah, right. They would also calls. I work in a call center pretty much, and they would, and if any one of them has any question, they'll let me know. I'll try and like give them some direction, not solve the problem for them, or troubleshoot for them, but try and like push them, nudge them in the right direction. And like this one guy,
You don't
it's
just
like,
answer the phone and go, you dumbass.
yes, well, very accurate. This one guy is like, it is very, very funny in how he tries to get my attention. It's like I'll talk to someone else, and they're like, I'll like look around for whatever reason. Like, well, the guy I'm helping with is like doing the stuff I'm guiding him to do, instructing him to do, and he'll just like wink at me, and I'm like that, like acknowledge him with like a like yeah hi, and he'll like, keep winking at me. I'm like,
is he
okay,
flirting
sure.
with you, Natai?
I hope not. The guy doesn't. It's not a sex icon. I'll give him that. And then like another time, someone will call like ask me to come over. I'll come over. I'll sit next to them, and I'll like talk to them. Make eye contact. And then this guy was like winking. And he like approach and like stand in between us. And I'm like, I'm talking to this dude over here. It's like what the. Just so many.
That's
weird
where the guy's
people.
got the blinders on. He doesn't realize what he's doing.
Dead on, well, just like that. And like, and don't get me wrong, like I'm very like, one thing I'm very happy with is that I have sort of like we have a very close group of friends that like came out of this workplace. I'm very, very happy about that. But man, very lately they set the bar very low with the people they bring in, and it shows. It shows. Unfortunately,
it's kind of a similar thing where I work. Well, I work for a pretty small company, small in terms of the amount of employees that we have. So we all kind of know each other more or less, especially those of us who work in our knock. We talk to each other. So even most of us working from home, we talk to each other so frequently that we know each other by this point. So there's a lot of camaraderie between us. There's a lot of, if you look at our private chats that we have on Teams, it's a lot of calling each other dumbass.
as you should.
Yeah, as you should. I took my gaming chair to my classroom because it is too comfy. I'm sure your students love that.
That's fair. I can respect that.
Yeah, I mean, work. I know you shouldn't treat work as like a second family, but I know a lot of people do. And sometimes you just get a little too comfortable. Especially if people, especially in the West, with how work culture is, you spend as much, if not more time with the people you work with than your actual family.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
There sometimes is this little disconnect that I don't think should actually be there. Like, yeah, they can be your friends, but they're not someone that you should necessarily be that open with sometimes.
I think if some of them are very like you're close to them and you want to foster that relationship, I think that's very good. You can do that out of work, but in work during work you need to keep in mind you're coming to work. And again, one of the things that's keeping me at my current job is actually all my friends there, and that's very good. But we know to still respect the fact that like we're working together, so don't be a dick to each other. Don't be like fuck each other over the work itself. It's
and you might talk to each other maybe slightly differently while you're there at work than when you get off work and maybe you go like have a drink